All right. So, hi, everyone. I'm very happy to host here with us Glenn. So, Glenn Phillips is the CEO of Lake Homes. He can speak a bit about and give you a bit of an intro. But yeah, so this is our episode called the BS with leaders, and let's just get off and get started here, Glenn. So, give us a bit of a background of yourself, so people who don't know you. So, where do you spend most of your time thinking about? Yeah, give us a bit of background.
So I grew up as a computer engineer and we built software, but in 2012, we were asked to look at what was going to be sort of a website that was going to be a Zillow for lake real estate. And the company hadn't made it. So I shifted from being an engineer to a CEO of a real estate brokerage. So Lake Homes Realty is licensed in 39 states. Our website, lakehomes.com, is used by several million people. It's focused just on lake homes. A couple of years ago, we added Beach Homes Realty, and then we've just recently still refining the technology on Mountain Homes Realty, and we have websites for each of those.
Amazing. And can you explain a bit more what both do, like Lake Homes, and what's the relationship between both? I saw in your story that you failed in the early days and then you pivoted and then made millions. So would love to know a
Yeah.
bit of background as well. If
So the original business, we were approached by investment bankers they didn't word it this way, but I will summarize it. The deal every entrepreneur wants. We have this business that we've shown you. You've pointed out it has two fatal flaws. All the people we hired except one have left. He's our engineer that leaves for Google in a month, so you won't have there's no going to be employees. All the capital we raised, we spent. We have debt and we can't pay you. Would you like to run this business for us? We shifted it from being just a pure digital media play to generate leads, which is what like Zillow does. It generates leads to become a brokerage. So we have our own agents, but now people think we're like an EXP or a Real or LPT, these big companies, but they actually are still the old business model of I need a lot of agents. And our goal is to have as few agents as possible. So I think of all the other brokerages as infantry and we're special forces. And so our websites and our agents both we sell and list real estate like any real estate brokerage. Our technology is what helps drive the distant buyer in and really has made a big impact on on average, our agents who join us who are seasoned double their revenue on average, some more.
Wow, that's so good to hear, Lo. So I'm imagining the 300, Spartans, and I'm imagining that you're also like really like because you have a special like mix of you are an engineer and you have this tendency to use software and optimize. So that's amazing. That's a huge milestone. So what's the part of your role that you think surprises most people or people the most?
Depends on if they know me from this role or my prior life. If they know me for most of my years, over 20 years, had a boutique software development company, database and systems, to find that now I'm in the real estate. If you'd asked me 15 years ago, why don't you open a real estate brokerage? I'd go, what kind of idiot does that? There are too many of them.
Yeah.
Turns out we're the idiots. So but people who have seen me now in this role, I think they're a little surprised that some of the things that I've gotten to be pretty good at, even through both businesses, is how to execute marketing, how to execute human engagement. And I've spent over 20 years studying how the brain fools us. Our brains
And
lie
then
to us. And that's important in knowing ourselves and helping our clients and negotiations and heck, convincing my wife where we need to go eat dinner.
wow, that's interesting. That's so insightful. So give us a small snippet about what you learned about the brain and how it helped you. How it helped you a bit give the edge. Because I'm very curious about the brain. I study all the pineal gland, the frontal cortex, how to be efficient. It's also the more you learn about the brain, the more you're able to assimilate AI and understand technology. That's how you optimize. That's how you're efficient. I'm curious. Do you have any nuggets of wisdom to share?
Oh, I don't know, they're nuggets, but what I was a train wreck in my own life with my software company many years ago, and the problem was me. I had refused to get business coaching, and I just thought I could figure it out.
Mm.
I said I was a country music song. I'm in massive debt. I've gotten a divorce from a marriage that I think candidly hadn't gone particularly well, and my dog had died, and so I started
So
figuring out the common denominator on this was me,
wow.
and started exploring cognitive distortions, which was the work of Dr. Burns that came the basis for modern talk therapy. But an example of the brain lying to you, few years I've helped a schoolmate of mine from high school, and he's coaching championship level girls basketball. And he would say, I can't get them to get over some of their mental hurdles. So
Mm,
what they would do is they would take plays off. They would loaf. And it's
mm.
because their brains tell them, I'm exhausted. And I said, I know you're not exhausted because I've never seen one of you have to be carried off the court.
Wow. Okay.
So how do you intercept what your brain's saying? Because your brain's trying to protect you.
Yeah.
It's just like brain protects us from change. Like Mark, what you're dealing with and with AI and technology, change is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so our brain resists it. And yet that's where growth happens.
Mm. Yeah, so it's resisting energy consumption. It wants to save as much energy as, in case there's
Yeah.
anything. So it's constantly okay. So it's like priming and understanding that dynamic in the brain help you like really break through and understand what you've been through in life, happening all together, losing like a lot of things, like finances, my love relationship, my dog, my best friend, like all
Hmm.
this happening, you had to make sense of, wait a minute, maybe this loss, maybe this pain, this uncomfort is meant to push me out to grow and to break through and to get me to where actually is better and where I want to go.
Yeah. We learn to walk by falling down.
Yeah.
And yet people will, when we recruit real estate agents, we go, look, you can talk to our agents. You can see what we're doing. And yet many real estate agents that we say we can make a meaningful change in your life
Yeah.
won't do it.
Yeah.
But those that did, it's been rewarding, and that's okay. It's some people I say, look, if you're happy, really happy where you're at, you don't need us.
Yes, yes. Makes a ton of sense. That's amazing. So, thanks for this. I would love to go, and have a deeper dive into your workflow, like into your workflow. So, walk us through a normal week for your team, for yourself. Where does the work, feels like it tends to pile up? Maybe gets a bit like, like you get that cognitive load or tends to pile up. Like, what's the normal week, and when do you feel like there's uh, resistance?
Sure. So on a big level, really are kind of a technology company because we build all our own websites and aggregate all the data and processing. So we've got the web team, and then we've got brokerage operations, which would be much like if you just walked into a brick and mortar office. They do all that back office because it's a regulated industry. So there's
Mm,
compliance, there's check, and then we have our things. There's sales, marketing, and caring for our agents. So there's really a marketing component. So my role is sort of to be sure all of these are moving forward. The cognitive load can really come because we've never gone out and raised outside capital. So
mm.
we're competing with companies that can lose $100 million.
Wow.
And yet online in our niche, we're very competitive. And so one of the things that's going to be one of my goals moving forward is it's going to be imperative that I take cognitive load off
Mm,
because I can be the throttle point of people needing something from me. I know how to do it. I need to teach someone else. And that's one of the things in our growth and we've done this at different levels. We have to keep reinventing ourselves. What works for Doris, my wife, co-leads the business with me. She said something very smart when she started her first business, and she was talking about employees, but it could
yeah.
deal with departments or anything. She said, what works for one doesn't work for two. What
Yeah.
works for two doesn't work for three. So you're always having to, if you had to employ a department, a line of business, you have to reinvent and change.
Yeah, I hear reinvent and change. I love that. I love that theme. And, it relates to also a bit in my company. So my chief operations, she has your wife's like kind of voice, she's very people oriented and I'm very process oriented. So it tends to be like you competing each other, but it's always like when there is a problem, we always focus on, this is a process issue. It's not like his name or her name or that. So it's like, it's all about the process and it helps us like, you know, our fight time or, shortens a bit when we remind ourselves like, no, it's not about you. It's not about me. It's just, it's a process issue. Like, I'm okay. I'm fine. So it's funny you said this. So
Yes.
it reminded me of this. And so if we zoom in on what kind of task do you feel quietly eats time, but no one really questions?
Say that again. I'll make sure I understand the question, Mark.
Sure, sure. So you mentioned, right, you manage all these three teams, people, you want to make sure they run in a smooth way. And sometimes like it's very dependent on you on fixing things and adjusting things. So I'm just wondering, what's the kind of task that quietly eats time, but nobody really questions?
I think some of it has to do with the surprises of the day that are, I say don't be surprised by the expected.
Yeah.
But, like yesterday, I ended up and it worked out just fine, but there was dealing with some attorneys on some contract stuff that popped up and has to be dealt with. So, you know, we start our day with my team where we set 3 goals for the day, and we report how we did on our 3 goals in the prior day. And I often can miss those because I'm no Elon Musk, but he had a great answer about being a CEO. Somebody once asked him, "Do you like being CEO?" And he said, "We okay, all right, let me explain the job. The job of the CEO is to solve every problem that the smart people who work for you can't solve."
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that quote. Yeah, the toughest, most difficult, most annoying problems just get funneled to you, and that's the your job description basically. And to manage the priority of how to solve and how to make a decision, and the wrong decisions, the wrong leadership, sometimes a decision that you'll make and have to uphold that. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's not easy.
Well, I think most people there's a myth that we manage time, and we
Yeah.
don't manage time. We manage our use of time.
Yeah.
So when I've started, if I don't fail to complete something in a timely manner, I don't say this. It's because something interrupted me. It's because I chose a different priority in my use of time, and I may not
Mm,
have chosen wisely retrospectively. Heck, there's
yeah.
sometimes I know that I'm kind of mentally fatigued. I'll just go look. I'm gonna go do something mindless for 30 minutes to
Yeah.
restore cognitive function, but it's okay. That's a good use of my time, even though
Yeah.
maybe something important to be done. I
Yeah.
need this priority to clear the brain so I can focus.
Exactly. So it's like charging the battery of your laptop, your phone. It's like if you wanted to peak perform and just give the best performance to choose this priority, and you're very self-aware, that is amazing. I actually put on my calendar for every 4 hours, my team, everyone in the company, we put a mindfulness 15 minutes. Whereas does
Mhm.
everyone just leave everything? This is the time where we just like recharge, we can
Great.
speak together, we can just like let loose. That's something we like. It took a while to get to this point, but this helps. That's amazing. You're saying this. So what when things get busy, what usually breaks first?
I think it's a variable thing because we have enough different types of our business and we know what the priorities are. So you mentioned process is really a big deal. For our company, even Doris has explained to people where we hire and and it's a miss, it's not that the process figures it out for us. They don't
Mm,
fit because they can't follow the process or they're not fit for our processes. And same thing can happen to us if I really reiterate to myself the fastest way to do something is do it right.
mm,
And that can feel like when I've gotten off track, it's because I've tried to shortcut something, and I see
mm,
that in our real estate agents, I see it in the marketing. Most shortcuts are not shortcuts, or else it'd
mm,
be the way everybody goes, and so shortcuts are the dangerous thing of am I
mm,
really being mindful? Am I thinking more chess than checkers. Just not what's my next move, but what's the next move going to cause after that? I was cautioning a friend of mine recently, and they've got a great new startup that's going quick. And I said, you can die of not enough business. You can also die of too much business. And I said, y'all need to be sure you don't go so fast in knee jerk reactions that you create consequences.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's this default alive concept as well. And start. I've been there. I've been into this cycle of running so fast that it's actually you're burning people around you and just breaking processes and not able to have enough time to reset the foundation. So I totally get what you're saying there. It sounds very wise what you're saying, and I appreciate that a lot, and especially like since you're as well competing with people who have raised a ton of money. So what this discipline and process. Even I thought about chess, right? So if you do a quick move in the first two moves, but it's a shortcut, the other person was seeing 12 steps ahead and planning 12 steps ahead, you will have the bigger advantage in the long term. So even if you have more resources at the beginning, more horses, more pawns, but you make that wrong first move, bam, on the next 12, like you would dominate. And it sounds like this is a bit how you're disciplined. So I see that in you. So I'm gonna zoom in on a bit the cut the BS section of
Okay,
the podcast. So at some
great.
point, did AI or automation come up as a possible fix to one of the issues you mentioned, to everything we just talked about, or even something else?
Absolutely. In fact, so we used to have a very robust marketing team that had, a marketing intern program, and we would pay the interns, and they would for our websites. We for each market we operate in a lake or a beach, we have text to describe the market. And you have to research it, and so if you're looking at a certain location, here's information about it. And we would write that. We're not scraping it. We'd research when we write it. We call
Mm,
them bios, like a lake bio is the biography of this lake market, or a beach bio. So we were bringing up the beach-homes.com website, and we had thousands of bios we needed to write.
yeah,
We originally thought it would take 10 paid interns working, half time, 9
yeah.
months to complete that.
Whoa.
AI, 2 of our full-time staff working part-time did it in 3 months.
Wow. Wow.
It also meant
Okay.
it also meant we didn't have the job we had for our interns disappeared, and
Yeah.
we didn't have a different task for them, so it killed our intern program.
Wow. Whoa. That's amazing. Yeah. And definitely now with today's technology, I think, with Perplexity, with scraping algorithm and then building the
Mhm.
data set, like, man, like, when you think about it, wow, what a nice age to be in where you can actually are able to do that. That's amazing. And I love the concept of specializing in near, lakes and near beaches. I remember I didn't pass by Lake Tahoe, but I would always feel like this is a place everybody wants to be, and it's amazing. So I'm curious, maybe at some point to hear the story why you focused on that. But it sounds very niche, very focused, and I love it. And even the name is beautiful. It makes a ton of sense. That's amazing. So what did you try other than that, and what didn't really work the way you hoped? So is there something you tried in AI or in process improvement that you feel didn't work?
We're always testing it, and we're even though I'm a nerd and I've got a nerd team, so to speak, what we feel we're not our dev team needs to learn just AI development tools a little better and faster. That's one of our initiatives is to help them get up to speed on that. So I feel we're a little slow to the game in that. It's a great team, and they really produce, but we want to equip them for you know when you're in technology, one of the things that's important in your job is to always keep learning because it
Yeah,
changes so fast. We
yeah,
also have some things where, we've had to, even though we're creating these bios, we have to still be very cautious because there will be hallucinations
yeah.
about. One of the funniest ones was where, and we were checking it. Somebody brought me a picture of a lake of a beach market. It was really an inlet, and it talked about all the nightlife and the restaurants. And when you looked at the satellite photo, it was a bunch of barges in a port.
That's hilarious. Okay, I see. So yeah, so it's kind of being up to date and you feel like there's more momentum that could be done there.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you tried like to see, oh, contract drafting or like there's this trend of voice AI agents that instead of real human brokers, like it's a beautiful girl's sound that's like
Right.
feels like she's read so much about you and she's like, hey, I don't know what, blah blah blah. She gives the initial stuff and then when there is an interest, the human agent is in there. So there's like this is one trend happening. I'm seeing this also a lot in the Middle East, in especially Dubai, because there are
Mhm.
laws that say, because people are get bothered. Like I get a ton of calls, like, and it's like so. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about. Have you thought about other processes in the company or in your day to day life, or in the operations or in sales, where you feel like, oh, I'm thinking where I can help here, where I can automate, where I can improve.
So one of the things, and here I'm spilling a secret, so that's not so talk about no BS. We actually, as we try to figure out who the right agents, because we operate brokerage operations in 39 states with
Yeah.
people really there in those markets, and trying to find who the right fit is and who might be willing to make, because there's 2 million licensed agents in the country, and a lot of them don't do business. So figure out who's good, who's not. We're working. My friend Sean has a company called Corded.io, and
Mm.
so with Corded, you can both monitor the performance of your team, but it uses AI to help us understand who might be a real estate agent who's ready to make a change in their career. So,
So
and
so
it will,
you mean they record the calls they do when they're in your team or on the interview or
it's looking at their not just only their performance, like if their sales numbers going up or down, but also is there turmoil in their office? Like, oh, a bunch of agents have left, something's up,
Mm,
a broker has left. So it gives so we have our recruiting team and they will call folks and, cause it helps us and we think it helps the people we're calling as well. We're not calling people who are clearly not going to go anywhere. Let's not waste their time.
yeah,
And we call people who go, it's funny you should call. I was thinking about making a change. And so these are
nice.
people that we may have never spoken to before, and we'll be reach out to them and talk to them about, we think you might be a fit for our brokerage. Would you be willing to discuss it? And it might not
Yeah,
be. It may be you're just great where you're at. But
yeah,
that's greatly improved our efficiency on recruiting the right agents for us.
That's amazing. Amazing. I love it. Yeah, so looking back, what you said, you mentioned a few things you wanted to fix or improve. Would you think there was something missing where you tried to fix it, but that thing was missing, so you couldn't implement AI how you wanted to, or automation or process improvement?
We're sort of the nation's source of data about lake real estate market across the country. I get to talk to press all over the country, and that's kind of fun.
Right.
But I don't think we've gotten to the point that we're leveraging the amount of data we have about the real estate market.
Yeah.
We produce reports that nobody in the country, not even the big brokerages and the portals, can produce because it's
Yeah.
finely tuned to lake, and now we're finally collecting the data on beach. But there's knowledge in that data that AI will be our key to unlocking, and I know we've not executed that. This is one of the things I want to do in the upcoming year when we talk about where we're going to make time investments.
Amazing. Okay, so when we zoom in a bit on ROI before AI, if that one process you mentioned about the data lakes, the data lakes, right? On the pun unintended. So that one process that noticeably can run smoother. What would that free your team up to do? Like if you did this on the data you share, or another process, like how much more time you can have to do other things.
So one of the joys of being I say we're kind of a large startup. I mean, we've been around a while. We've been on the Inc. 5000 7 times, but I literally have I just updated. It's a 60-page document I give to the board of our initiatives and a huge ton of them are things we haven't gotten to yet.
Mm,
So we can pick from those and give priority of what's going to
mm,
move the needle faster on the flywheel of what can generate more revenue that we can invest back in without having to seek outside capital. And
yeah,
so we'll focus as we pull from that list. We say, what are the things that drive revenue the fastest and still keep us within who we are? And
yeah.
that'll be the order we go through.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can imagine that 60 pagers, there's almost like a ranking where what are the lowest hanging fruit experiments or activities with the highest ROI, and that would be the
Yeah,
things you would
exactly.
prioritize. So that's amazing. And one other, so what would this actually, if this would work for you, how would it look like, even in simple terms?
So, when we implement people or processes or technology, we often do it in house, not because, software developers and people who build tech teams often do they want to eat their own dog food. They also do the not invented here syndrome. I'm
Yeah.
all about finding external things that are already built. One of the things we found though is there's not a real estate brokerage that functions like us.
Mm,
We look to the consumer like a website and a very traditional brokerage, but operating like all our compliance work across the country is done here. I'm in Alabama. My lack of accent probably gives me away, but their compliance for 39 states is done here. Our management of money and funds for the whole country, and most brokerages do it scattered all around the country. Often have to find things, and we also want to be very careful with the data we do have to not sort of spill it out into the world. One of the things we'll do in an AI with anything with the AI type things, we got to go, is this going to be something we're going to need to approach from a proprietary protection standpoint, or is it something that it's okay if the world knows it? That might actually be good for the AI world outside the large language models to know who we are better.
that's an interesting equation. Wow, that's an optimization. Like, is it better? Is it better for our mission, for our values, for our goals, or actually not? So that's an interesting question.
Security,
So
it's a security and growth question. But
of course,
so those are things we have to really consider because we're building enterprise value and we want to protect that intellectual property, but we can't be a secret either. People have to know
of
we're here.
course. Of course, of course. So yeah, on the last few questions, like the last two ones, I know I'm mindful of your time. I don't know if you have an extra 2-3 minutes, but
Go, let's go.
yeah. Okay. So this is where we can quote you on something you say about leaders cut the BS in this. So thinking about everything you've seen, is there a specific workflow, habit, or meeting where leaders should honestly just cut the BS, where it looks like productive but really isn't? So is there something you
Yeah.
want to? Yeah, go ahead.
So it has to do with how Doris and I co-lead the company, and we each had our own business before we were in this one. And we're married, and so we had a real discussion about when we were even dating, which is 20 years ago, and it's carried into our business. We're not going to lie. We're not going to play games. We're not going to be disrespectful. And so when we have discussions, even in a business meeting, it it's a very assertive because we trust each other. And so it will rapid fire, but no yelling. It's direct. We don't get our feelings hurt. And a new employee one day, Doris said, "Hey, the employee thought we had a fight today." I said, "I don't even know what discussion you were talking about." So, yeah. And so it's but to have people where you've said, "Look, we don't need to couch things and give excuses." It's very efficient to talk candidly, openly, and agree it's not personal, and to be respectful. In some ways, I think that's what AI is figuring out how to do. You talk about the AI's agents building their own culture. They can
Yeah.
communicate so much faster. The
Yeah.
lesson that Doris and I did years ago, and it's been good for our relationship and we don't use words like should, must, oughta.
Mm,
There's no guilt. You can say
mm.
no. No is a really popular word. Do you want to do this? No. Okay.
Yeah. So what you mean here is like this ground philosophy and value system that leads all the thinking and the process is, leaders cut the BS, be candid, say it how it is, and just focus on not taking things personally and just focus on enterprise value.
Here's the key, and we say this, and it's part of the reason that it attracted us, this business with the board and investors that had started the company, is it's across all the group. We are all more concerned with being successful, not about being right.
Wow, I love it. I love that. I need to quote this and share it with my business partner. It's something we talk a lot about, so that's great, super inspiring. So one last question, one last thing to wrap this up around is would if you would give one piece of advice to leaders dealing with the same thing, what would it be?
Know your whys. Why are you doing this?
Mm,
Most people don't know their why. They think they do. It's money, it's prestige, it's helping people. And I didn't know that most of my life. But once you know your whys, your decisions are really easy.
Amazing. That's so good. Glenn, I had so much fun. This is such an inspiring episode. It's so good to get to know you, your wife, Dolores, the team and everyone. I'm actually excited for your mission. I think you're doing great and I'm happy you put this out in the world and would love to keep on chatting and maybe catch up later. Just a small thing before I let you go because you were mentioning and I just thought about this because as our business we actually do AI differently. We do process mapping. So what we do is we look at your process, what's happening. We map this
Hmm.
out. We tell you where the time and money is being spent and
Sure.
where the processes can improve. So we show you how much more money you can make and how much more time you can save back to the business. And we identify exactly what AI use case, what AI agents can actually make that improvement change. So this is something we can give you, can play around with. We can do it together in a session where it's confirmed not by the stakeholders. So it's like people are vested, they share their emotions, they actually want this done. And you can
Right.
see that. And once this is confirmed, we usually see at least minimum, we make you $30,000 a month just in increased productivity and making more profit. That's the minimum. And if that's the case, then we enter in phase two where we actually customize AI agents that we have or something that you want. We customize them on your workflow. So it's fully
Very
customized
interesting.
on your brain and on your own philosophy, on your own processes. It's not like something off the shelf that just does one dysfunction. We use that, but it's super tailored. And we have a model where it's based on profit gain. So we make money when you make money. So that's one offer where we make it results guaranteed. You can choose subscription also if you want. So this is
Okay.
something we do, and I'd love to serve you if there's room and you feel this is something that can unlock this, 60-page potential, accelerate this and accelerate your growth in the market and leadership.
Yeah, I want to investigate this a little bit. That's very appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay, amazing. Do you think would it be a terrible idea that we chat, like we do a separate call, you and I, to catch up? Of course, I'll segment the podcast. It will be just about the podcast. I'll send it to you for approval before sharing it. And the second, we can do a one-on-one where I share with you a bit more about what we do. I can send you a bit of things beforehand, like cool things our AI agents can do. What do you think?
Let's do that, but I need to do it in early March. I
Okay.
know because I've got trips and conferences, and I'm hosting some conferences, and I want to. If I meet before March, I will be distracted.
Yeah. And I love that focus, that discipline of yours. That sounds great. So would it be a terrible idea to do this, or would you be busy the first week of March? So somewhere around 4th of March, same time?
Check here.
Or it could
Right
be
now, that
actually
looks fine.
okay, perfect. 4th of March, same time. I'll send you the calendar invite
Okay.
and I'll update everything on calendar, send you recap and the podcast also for your confirmation. Glenn, it's been such an absolute pleasure. I wish you all the best with the team.
Thank you.
Day full of joy and yeah, inspiration. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate your time and interest, and my wife would be glad I used up some words.
You definitely did. They should be quoted more often. You guys have a lot of wisdom to share. Thank you so much.
You're very kind. You're very kind.
Thank,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye, Glenn.
Bye.
Cheers. See you soon. Bye.